Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a house show. Mutant Mayhem. Spoiler review. Spoiler review. Spoilers are a little bit easier to touch on. It's easier to talk about what I just saw without talking in vague terms. More very specific terms, perhaps. Like, hey, you remember how they played Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go at a fight sequence that the Ninja Turtles had with their first fight with a bunch of just street-level thugs? That was pretty fun. Wouldn't want to skip out on some Vanilla Ice reference. Oh, no. That's very important to have. Go Ninja, go. Secret of the Ooze. I don't know. So we start off with a infiltration of Baxter's lab. The one and only Baxter turned into a fly. And for someone like me, I'm like, so they're going to turn Baxter into a fly? No! They do not do that. Baxter has mutants that he grows in a lab. And his first mutant is a little baby fly. So our bad guy is an actual fly, not a person turned into a fly. I was kind of surprised by that, because in all the years I've been a Ninja Turtle fan, guess what? It's always been a human turned into a mutant. And in this movie, it was very important to run the movie with mutants versus humans, to create a outsider feeling for the Ninja Turtles and for the additional mutants that are introduced to the movie. So we open up with a squad of fellas from the TCIF, or whatever the heck the company was called, infiltrating Baxter's lab to steal all his stuff. And then naturally things go awry in some capacity. They blow up stuff. The Superfly gets away. He steals all his little brothers and sisters, because we get a quick glimpse of like little Rhino, little Warthog, little fish, Stingray. Like, oh, those are going to be the characters that we know throughout the movie. Got it. Baxter himself has a vial of ooze that falls out of his hand and is not seen by the dipstick guards that lost to a fly who got their butts kicked. And that goes down into the sewer. And of course, that is our origin story, right? But then we flash into the ninjas. Ninja Turtles on the roofs, looking all cool, and then zooming in into like a more realistic view, and we see that they're just the average teenagers, no biggie. And their big mission of the night is to get groceries. Doritos, toilet paper, some fruits and vegetables, and I think bread, And the thing I thought was weird about this moment is that you see them using their ninja tactics to steal necessities, but steal nonetheless. Obviously, living in the sewers as a mutant, you don't have the ability to make money. You don't have the ability to acquire things. So how else are they going to get it? I'm not complaining about that, but I did find it ironic that as the ninjas are being introduced, we're also being introduced to the big problem of the movie, which is a bunch of high-end tech being stolen. And on the news behind the Ninja Turtles is a bunch of feed about another news, high whatever tech has been stolen by so-and-so. And I'm just kind of like, it's odd. It's like they're both stealing. Obviously one for bad and the other one for necessity, but still odd. I mean, how do they get all their pizzas, right? In the first movie, in 1990, whatever it was, he paid for it. The tab was 10, the tab was 13, you gave me 10. Wise man once say, never pay full price for late pizza. Come on, I couldn't find the place. Great movie. I gotta get a new route. So we see the Ninja Turtles getting the grocery list, and then they go to the park and they see live action Ferris Bueller on the movie in the park, because they had previously been to an Adele concert and the New York Knicks and all kinds of stuff, and they were just, it's interesting the pop culture references that these Ninja Turtles constantly do throughout the movie. Those bits and pieces I found and like awkwardly funny. Like every time they'd be like, oh, you know how like in Endgame the blah 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 with the Iron Man, I was like, huh. So or like the Hulk, he's finally accepted even though he's the Hulk, and I'm just like, this is goofy. This is a goofy thing that in their world, in the Ninja Turtles world, like Marvel is a thing. That's interesting. Do you have to pay the rights for that? There was a reference to a bloomin' onion later in the movie. Do you have to pay Outback for the bloomin' onion? Anyways, ninjas go to the movie, and then they go home, and they get in trouble with Splinter, because Splinter's like, you can't go out and do that. Humans are evil. They're gonna hurt you. They're gonna suck your blood out through your nipples. They're gonna milk you for your blood. Why did I use that phrase? Well, because it becomes a consistent use of terminology throughout the movies. They're like, yeah, Dad's afraid they're gonna milk us for our blood. And then they're like, yeah, we don't even have nipples. How is that gonna happen? And so it's a running gag throughout the whole movie. So then Splinter does okay, now that you guys are late, I'm going to make you listen to why I don't want you to get out there. So we do a flashback sequence of the Ooze, a young 20-some-odd-year-old rat that doesn't get accepted by humans, and parallels Baxter's not being accepted by humans, which I didn't go into, but it winds up coming back. Finding these turtles that didn't lash out at him, and they befriended him, so he wound up raising them because he was in his 20s and the turtles were babies. So then these turtles all, turn into tiny child-sized turtles, and he turns into more of like an adult, and he winds up being, a single dad, 4 kids kind of thing. And with the time, you see him raising the kids, and they always wanted to go up to the surface, so then Splinter takes them up to the surface, and then of course everybody freaks out, so then he banishes everybody to the underground in the sewers forever, because he doesn't trust humans. They're evil, they might kill him, they might milk their blood. After that, they get grounded for a month, and then when they're sitting in the bed commiserating, like, what would you do with your normal life, all of them are like, I'd want to be in high school, which is nuts. Like, the outsiders that want to be in high school. That's just mind-boggling. Good for them. As a former semi-outsider of high school, I hated being there. Weird. Former, like 20 years ago. Long time. Anyways, flash forward a little bit. That month that they get grounded for goes by pretty quick. They start goofing off, smashing up a watermelon on top of a roof. More things get stolen by this Superfly and his gang kind of stuff. And as they're screwing around, they throw a ninja star into a watermelon, which winds up dinging off of the side of a helmet of a female down on the street. And her name is what? Yes, Miss O'Neill, April O'Neill, who also high school age. So they're all 15-year-olds, right? It's not like news reporter that's clearly in her 20s, and then the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of the cartoon, they were probably like 18 to 20. I wouldn't even say that they were like teenagers. They were barely teenagers. They were probably in their 20s, honestly. Anyways, so Leonardo falls in love with her, lickety-split, like, oh my gosh, this gorgeous girl with the red hair and the yellow suit. Great. Love her. And then she gets robbed. Somebody steals her scooter because she's sitting there yelling at them on the roof for hitting her with a throwing star, which is, like, thank goodness that it just hit her in the helmet. And it comes in handy more than once. She gets splashed by a wall at one point. And she's like, this helmet's come in handy. I'm like, whew. They chase down the bad guy, have their first fight in the garage, which is very entertaining. That first fight was hilarious. They screw up royally right off the bat, tripping over each other with, the Psy and was it Donatello's leg, like everything goes wrong right off the bat. And then they get surrounded by about like 10 to 15 guys, and then they just run around doing their haphazard ninja skills that they have in their core, and they kick butt. Ooh, quick run back to that flashback sequence with Splinter. Whenever he got rejected by the surface people, he taught all the kids ninjutsu from there. That's where they learned, because he was afraid of humans. Anyways, move forward back into that fight. Everybody wins in some fashion or another. You know, you see each Ninja Turtle kind of doing their version of a fight, which is very entertaining. Raph is a little bit more of a tank. He just crushes guys, smacks skulls together, kind of thing. A couple of the other ones are more limber, nimble, whatever. And then once they win, they hide in the shadows as April comes through, and then they kind of have a quick, goofy interaction where they're hiding in the shadows. She's like, "Who are you guys? What are you doing?" "Oh my gosh, are you turtle?" And then it moves forward. "Hey, they're turtles." Like, okay. So then she asks them a couple questions, kind of wants them to be part of her high school news report, because she works for the newspaper at the high school. They're all interested in, you know, what it's like to be in high school, and she's all interested in, man, you guys are turtles. So they exchange information after that. Turtles go back to the sewer. April goes back on a subway train. They wind up getting in contact. They're like, we can use this Superfly case that she's working on that got prom canceled to push our ability to be seen by humans and accepted. That's a great idea. I'm like, okay, that's an interesting way to go about it. But yes, you're right. You can make everybody in the world like you just because you you save them. Okay. Interesting. So then we push forward into them going to all the hideouts of the gang members, which is actually very fun. This is probably my favorite sequence of the entire movie, is they do the song Yo Diggity, and they have the Ninja Turtles coming into each hideout with a different person at the lead, which is kind of fun. And then they just show like a side-scrolling fight, like a video game. They just watch they bash all these leaders, and then the leaders all narc on each other, and they find their way to the information. And it was a really well done sequence. It was probably my favorite part of the movie. Side-scrolling, beating up low-level gangsters to try and find out the information, and then making them all squeal, and then having like back-to-back, camera, Avenger style kind of round the camera stance fight. It was really fun. That was a good part of the movie. April is always in the background filming everything. They find out that there's one more piece of equipment that needs to be delivered to Superfly, so they decide to deliver the equipment themselves. They go down to the sewers with April so that they can check in with Splinter, who says that there's an emergency, and then Splinter winds up finding all the gear that they've been picking up. They've been picking up like human outfits and stuff like that along their travels to the different gangs. And he celebrates, just like, stay down here underneath the sewers so that I don't have to worry about humans and them milking your blood. And he has cutouts of 3 Chris's, Chris Pine, Chris Evans, and Chris Pratt in the background, pretending like they're new human friends. I thought that was goofy and funny and all that stuff. They say thanks, but we gotta go. We got errands to do, so they leave with April. April now officially knows where they live, which becomes useful. The Phi moment of the movie later. They go out. They meet up with Superfly and his gang of people, because Superfly is a mutant too, and we finally get to see what he looks like. He's a giant morphed fly, and he's got Bebop, Rocksteady. He's got the crocodile. I don't remember all the names of the characters. A bat. I don't remember the bat offhand. Gecko. Ray Finn. Who else? The Beetle. I had the Beetle. I feel like I had Gecko. I feel like I might have had Ray Finn. Definitely, obviously, I had Rocksteady and Bebop. And he's essentially the leader of his own family, because he gives an origin story, says how Baxter didn't like humans, wasn't accepted, and he wanted to make sure that, humans all became the secondary class in the world, almost like a Xavier versus Magneto reference, where Magneto wanted mutants to be the dominant species, and it's like, so he's going to build this ray that turns all the animals and ticks and bugs and everything in the world into mutants, and then humans are just going to be like gone. So the Ninja Turtles have to figure out a way to proceed. They find out this plan slowly when they're hanging out with the other characters at the bowling alley, and then as they're driving away, the Ninja Turtles figure out, like, okay, we gotta stop this plan. So they get forced to take in 3 of the characters into the van to figure out a way to stop the van, blow out all the bad guys, and then do a high-speed car chase, which they inevitably lose. And then they get captured by the acronym corporation at the beginning, which is TCIF, whatever. And the Superfly gets the piece that he needs so he can create the machine. So the Turtles get captured, they get put against these machines, and you'll never guess, they start getting milked for their blood by Blood Milker 5000, whatever it was called. It was something similar to that, 2000. And they get zapped in a way that made me think of the Ninja Turtle video games, whenever they're hopping around on one foot because they stepped on the electric current. Yeah, like, man, they use some visual stuff that has been in, like, video games and all this other stuff. That's great. And this is where we get to the fire moment. April O'Neil seems like she's abandoning them, but in all reality, she's actually hightailing it back to get Splinter, because she knows where they live. So she wants to tell Splinter, like, hey, the boys are in trouble. Need your help. Come on. So then Splinter infiltrates, and he's like, listen, I was right. You see how they're milking you for your blood? But then he beats up everybody with each weapon. He knows how to use the bow, the sais, the nunchucks, and the swords. And he just kicks all these guys' butts, gets the Turtles free, and then they have to push forward and go and stop Superfly. So they go to stop Superfly. They convince the rest of the mutants that, hey, maybe we don't actually want to kill humans. And all the other mutants, Bebop, Rocksteady, Ray Finn, Gecko, the Beetle guy, the Frog, all these guys wind up being like, yeah, we don't really want to kill humans. Only you do. And it just becomes all of the mutants versus Superfly. And Superfly puts up one heck of a fight. He kicks everybody's butt up and down, which I was surprised about, because I'm just like, I mean, I don't know much, but I would think 10 mutants against 1, you're going to win that pretty easily. And it didn't happen that way. So the machine gets turned on to turn everything into mutants. They all fight, 10 against 1, and Superfly puts up a big fight. The mutants win as a whole, but the whole machine falls underwater, and it hits the Superfly and turns him into, like, a gigantic mutant that is, like, Godzilla-styled, walking around, New York, and he's got, like, a whale body and, like, a crab claw and a giraffe nose and an elephant nose and horse legs, and not like a leg of a horse, but like horses all on his legs. It's just a weird character design. Like, they really went all out for the way that particular thing looked. Superfly, Superfied was just intense. So he's going around wreaking havoc in the city because he doesn't like humans. All the mutants decide to band together, even though they almost step out, because, a couple of them are like, I don't want to deal with that. We don't like humans anyways, and they don't like us, so why would we go about doing this? And then Splinter gives like we need to do the right thing here. So they wind up doing the right thing, banding together, and going to attack Superfied, and they don't do such a great job. And the news coverage that hits during the entire sequence starts saying, like, hey, big mutants attacking the city, little mutants are leading the charge to attack the city, we got to be afraid of mutants, and we got to get the army in here, got to kill all the mutants. And April O'Neil runs up to the news reporter's desk whenever all the mayhem's going on in Manhattan, and she takes over and she starts spreading the good word. Like, listen, these guys are good, that guy's bad. One's trying to stop the other. Stop looking at it the wrong way. So we have an entire flip of the script where initially people were afraid of the mutants. In that moment, they wound up actually helping, almost like Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2. So a mutagen gun that helps unmutanize these characters whenever they're shot with the thing. They shoot it at Superfly initially, and it only hits him in the leg, and it doesn't do anything because it just knocks off like one horse from his leg. It's like, I don't even need that horse. So later, when they're down and out because they're getting their butts kicked by Superfly, and April finally gets on the news to spread the good word, they're like, what's going to be the new plan? And Donnie's like, and attack the Titan. Normally there's a thing on the neck. So he's a whale. Got that porpoise hole. We're going to throw it in there so it gets directly in the bloodstream. Got it. All right. So then they set up a plan. The humans help them set the plan in action, and then they wind up defeating Superfly. And there's a 21-minute version of the whole movie. The end is mostly just them wrapping up. They invite all the other mutants to live down with them. They're all having pizza. They have a bloomin' onion. Again, did Outback get money for that? How's that work? Splinter falls in love with the Beetle, which is a little gross. Like, they can have their love, but I didn't like watching it. We got a rat making out with this crazy sloppy beetle thing. Oof. It was very uncomfortable. And the Ninja Turtles finally get to go to high school. So there you go. It's a good movie. Start to finish. The animation's good. The script is pretty good. And then after everything's set in motion at the very end, we do what's it like for them to be in high school. They go to prom together. What are the Ninja Turtles doing now? And then there's, of course, a teaser of the one and only Shredder at the very end. Spoiler. This is the spoiler thing. So, by the way, the Shredder is teased because they are planning to make a sequel from a movie that has had sequels to sequels to sequels, and a television show, and a comic book series, and another 7, I don't know how many television shows. Excuse me. I think there's been at least like 3 to 5 Ninja Turtle television shows since the 90s. I'm going to say at least 3. Probably more. There have been 3 iterations in theater. The original trilogy, the animated one that came out in the middle of like 2007 or whatever, and then Michael Bay's Ninja Turtle movies. So they've been in theater 3 times already. This is their 4th time. This has the ability to be carried over to a sequel. The movie was good. The music was good. The premise was straightforward. It wasn't like surprising. The milking of the blood was surprising. That part caught me off guard for sure. The character designs were cool. Some of the visuals caught me off guard. Bebop was just like kind of a borderline, like, come on, man. So he's got piercings, and like when they introduce his character, they don't start in the character's face for Bebop. They start on his nipples. And I'm like, this is a movie for under X amount of age. It is PG. But we're going to start off with nipple piercings as the character intro. Alright. And then at one point, Bebop's like, this speech was so exhilarating, I'm aroused. And I'm just like, again, like, it's a PG movie for little kids. I can get past the swear words because they probably hear them all anyways, which, teach your kids to use proper words as best you can. I swear all the time. I'm no example. And swearing doesn't get me in trouble in my day-to-day life. I think words are just words. I have a whole video about that. George Carlin was right. There are no good words, there are no bad words. Words are just words. It's up to the people that listen to these words that decide how good or bad they are to themselves. Anyways. Yeah. The movie was a good watch. Should it be watched in theater? I don't know if it needs to be. Doesn't need to be watched in theater if they want to make a sequel. Yes. Will it be watched on streaming service to see whether or not it gets a sequel? Probably. They're going to watch all these numbers because Dungeons & Dragons has the ability to get a sequel. Ninja Turtles will too. It only needs to crack probably like, I don't know, $200 million to prove that it deserves a sequel. And that's only twice what it's already made, which it could probably do. There's not a lot of competition between now and however many weeks it'll be in theater. You've got Blippi apparently coming to theater. You've got Paw Patrol coming to theater. You got Disney's Wish coming to theater. So there's some children fare, but like proper child movies that kids can come back to see more than once. Like Ninja Turtles is, I think, all there is at the moment. And I mean, well, Haunted Mansion, I guess, too. But it's the August slump. If you've ever watched the way that movie release schedules work, August and February, January? Maybe it's January and August, are both kind of dumping grounds. And if you release a baller movie in July, or the beginning, July, or if you release a baller movie in December, it carries over that next month without any major competition. It's consistent. Anyways, there was the Cliff Notes version of the movie, because that's essentially what I do. If you sat and watched this, you may as well just go and see the movie at this point, because we're at 26 minutes and you just heard the whole thing. If you can watch a 26-minute video about the movie, you should just go watch the movie, right? Cliff Notes. So, go watch the movie. 8 out of 10. Music's great. Animation's great. It's a good time in theater. The story's fun. It'll get a sequel probably. And, yeah. Thanks for watching. Love to hear your thoughts about all Ninja Turtle things, because I'm a big Ninja Turtle fan too. Comment down below. Like, subscribe, share, favorite, whatever the hell those words are. Thanks for watching. Don't have a good day. Have a great one.